guys, TommyBoy601, and today we're going to be taking a look at the DL-44 blaster in Star Wars Battlefront. Now, before we dive into all the details of the DL-44 in-game, I thought I'd do something that I don't see many other people doing, and that's talk about the history of the DL-44. Now, most people do know it as Han Solo's blaster weapon is the DL-44 Blast Tech. As far as the prop goes, when George Lucas and Roger Christian, the set decorator for the Star Wars New Hope, were in England filming, they visited an armorer called Bapty. Now, Bapty did films beyond just sci-fi. They also did World War II films and spy thriller films, and that's the main reason we see so many World War II weapons as Star Wars weapons. Now, the DL-44 is a Mauser C96 pistol, where A New Hope was not actually its first appearance in film. In fact, the C96 Mauser that got used to become the Han Solo's DL-44 was used in Frank Sinatra's The Naked Runner and Oliver Reed's Sitting Target. Some things that make this Mauser unique compared to many other Mausers, or some identifying marks that make this the DL-44. The pistol actually has a bull barrel. A bull barrel is a thicker barrel that increases accuracy on real guns, and it actually has a flat bottom bull barrel. The distinct flash hider is actually a flash hider off of German aircraft. It is off a MG-81 machine gun. The sniper scope that you see on there is actually also another German-made thing. It is a sniper scope from the German company Hensoldt Winsler. The model is actually a Zeal Dilit 3X, so we can assume that it actually gives a 3 times magnification. We don't see that in game, but it's a cool little fact to know. And finally, that heatsink, that iconic heatsink on the front, and actually the iron sights that you don't use in game, but they are there if you look right on top of the barrel, are actually from a model airplane of another German aircraft, a Hawker Tontip. So, lots of little details that are in this gun that are kind of easy to miss, but DICE did a really good job of capturing them in the game. Now, as far as in-game goes, the DL-44 has become somewhat of the best gun in the game. The damage, it does 50 up close, and actually carries that 50 damage longer than any other gun in the game, including the T-21 variant. It actually has double the range that you do the 50 damage, which makes this a very effective weapon in close and medium range because it's a 2-shot kill. The gun has a damage of 50 with a damage drop-off starting at 20 meters and it ending at 40 meters. Once you're out at 40 meters, it's going to do 19 damage. The fire rate is a medium 250 rounds per minute, and its muzzle velocity, like most of the guns in this game, is 500 meters per second. You get 12 shots before it overheats, and if you do overheat the gun, you're going to be waiting a good old 2.7 seconds for that gun to come back into action, which really isn't that bad, considering that's a real quick long reload if you were to play something like Battlefield. Now, this gun has been seeing a lot of use simply because, well, it's a very effective weapon in the up-close ranges, and it's also a very effective weapon at medium ranges. For me, this gun probably is one of the best guns in this game. It is very consistent over ranges, it has a very predictable recoil. The weaknesses of this weapon, well, it's not an incredibly long-range weapon, but you know what? Neither are many of the guns in this game. The relatively low meters per second of all the lasers means that this game has relegated to itself to a very heavy, short, and medium-range gunplay, and that means that guns like the DL-44 are going to shine immensely, while maybe some of the weapons that designers were hoping to be longer-range weapons like the E-33 aren't going to perform better than anyone else. One thing I would have liked to see with this gun is, or in Battlefront in general, are variants of the DL-44. Now, to those who have delved into the minutia that is Star Wars props, you may know this, you may not know this, but there's actually multiple variants of the DL-44 in all of the Star Wars movies. This is just because of the way production works and how production scheduling was. There are what are called hero pistols, which are the ones that are designed for close-ups. There's just regular pistols, and there's also stunt pistols, and all these things mean you're not going to get a consistent product across the line. And in fact, one of the most famous scenes of the DL-44 in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, the Greedo scene, actually uses a completely different gun than was considered to be the hero DL-44 and the one that we use in the game. It's actually become nicknamed the Greedo Killer in Star Wars collecting because of the variant of it. In fact, if you look at that scene very closely, you'll notice that the flash hider is actually completely different on that gun, and that's because the cantina scene was actually filmed in California after production had wrapped over in England, and they were not able to ship the hero DL-44 across the seas to continue the shoot. So instead, we got a completely different gun, and the main thing that's different on it is the flash hider. It's actually off of an M3 grease gun as opposed to the MG81. Another variant is actually, if you owned the Blu-rays of the Star Wars, there's a deleted scene of Han Solo in the bunker on Endor, and in fact, that's a completely different DL-44. It's missing the front heatsink, it's missing the scope mount on it is actually mounted completely backwards, and the scope is in a higher up position. And I would have loved if DICE kind of included those variants in the game, or maybe they will in the future, and given us either a way to modify our gun to look like those other variants. Maybe if you had the one we saw Han use on Endor, where it had the higher scope mount and no heatsink, maybe a very powerful one that only gives you a couple of shots, or some small variations like that. That way Star Wars Battlefront could both have more customization in it, something that a lot of people feel is lacking, but also maintain the authenticity that DICE has clearly strived to maintain throughout this whole game. Well guys, that's my impressions, my review of the Star Wars Battlefront's DL-44. I hope you liked this. If you did, comment down below, and tell me what you think Star Wars should do about the DL-44. Do you think they should nerf it because a lot of people are using it right now, or do you think it should just stay the same? Do you think they should add those variants? What's your opinion? Tell me down below. My name's TommyBoy601. See ya.